Hello everyone, welcome, and in this video we are going to start with Kubernetes basic questions. So in this particular video we are covering 10 basic questions only, so it will be a short video. And yes, so let's start with the basic questions of the Kubernetes. So first is, what is Kubernetes? So as you can see over the screen, also I have written over the definition. So Kubernetes is an open source container orchestration tool which is used for to automate the task of deployment. Suppose that you have a number of microservices, correct? And you need to deploy all those microservices. So how will it work? So what will be the deployment thing? So it do the deployments of the all the your images or Docker images, and it show you it manage the number of replicas, it manage it's all the architecture of the Kubernetes, manage how the pods will be scheduled, if their state is not matching with the desired, or if there is any corrupted thing. So it manages, it scales according to your load, and do the deployment of the application. So overall it manages your all application deployment, scaling, monitoring, and other required things. So so that your services are available 24 cross 7, and it's scalable, it's flexible, and it's reliable as well. So for that particular purpose, Kubernetes is used. Let's go to second question. What's orchestration when it comes to software and DevOps? So orchestration generally refers to integration of multiple services that allow them to automate process. So uh, there is a deployment, there is a ingress, there is a concept of your HPA and other things. So as it has been written over here also, you have 6 or 7 microservices for an application to run. If you see, uh, let me take highlighter. So you have, suppose you have 6 or 7 microservices for an application to run. If you place them in separate containers, this would inevitably create obstacles for communication. Orchestration would help in such a situation by enabling all services in individual containers to work seamlessly to accomplish a single goal. So for your particular application, you are creating 6 to 7 microservices. All the microservices have different functionalities. Suppose that one microservice behave for your profile generator, that you enter your all the details and it creates your profile. Second microservice runs for all the pictures which will be shown on over your website. The third microservice will behave like it will show you all the product details. So every microservice will have different functionality, and all those microservices together will achieve a single goal. So to accomplish this, to achieve this, orchestration comes in there, which combine all the different behavior at one place and deploy it, and you are able to achieve the single. So let's move to the next third question. So how Kubernetes and Dockers are correlated to each other. So as you can see, Docker is an open source platform used to handle software development. Its main benefit is that it packages the settings and dependencies that the software application needs to run into a container. So basically it is used to create a image of the particular application, like you have written a code in Java or Python, any kind of thing, and there are multiple dependency related to that particular code. So if that code comes to your laptop, so there might be chances that you don't have all those dependencies. So to avoid this situation that the code works on your machine and it does not work on my machine or different user machine, to avoid this, we use to create an image with the help of Docker, and that image is deployed on EKS cluster or any of the cluster you are running. And to deploy that cluster, Kubernetes comes in the picture. So if you see, Kubernetes allow for the manual linking and orchestration of several containers running on multiple hosts that have been created using Docker. So Docker is used to create image, and that image is deployed on a cluster which is managed by Kubernetes itself. So this is how it's related to. If you see the next question, which is the fourth one, what are the main differences between the Docker Swarm and Kubernetes? So here are 6 to 7 points, if you can see. So Docker Swarm is Docker's native open source container orchestration platform that is used to cluster and schedule Docker containers. Swarm differs from Kubernetes in the following ways. So there are 6 to 7 points. Docker Swarm is more convenient to set up but does not have a robust cluster, while Kubernetes is more complicated to set up but the benefit of having the assurance of robust cluster. So Docker Swarm is easy to use, but it does not have a robust cluster that it gives you all flexibility or all functionality. So if you see the next point, it can't do auto scaling. While if you enable HPA in the Kubernetes, it will do auto scaling based on your load. Like 10,000 users are logging at one time, and suddenly 10 lakh of users are logging at one time. So it will automatically increase the pod if you have HPA enabled. So Kubernetes work on this way, but Docker Swarm is not able to handle that auto scaling. And also Docker Swarm does not have any GUI, while Kubernetes has GUI. Sorry. So you can have Kate lanes or open lanes, and you can connect your cluster, and you can see all the nodes running, all the pods running, all the number of replicas, deployment files, and each and every objects over the dashboard. So it gives you a GUI where you can manage all the things. So in this way, Docker Swarm can share a storage volume with only container easily, with any container easily, while Kubernetes can only share storage volume with the container in the same pod. So suppose you have 10 pods, so every pod have their different storage. So Kubernetes share the storage with the all the containers which are running in one pod. So one pod storage can't be shared with different pod storage, while Docker Swarm can share. So these are the basic differences between Docker Swarm and Kubernetes. Let's move to the next. What is the difference between deploying applications on host and containers? So deploying application consists of an architecture that has an operating system. The operating system will have a kernel that holds various libraries installed on the operating system needed for application. Whereas container host refers to the system that runs the containerized process. So this kind is isolated from other application, therefore the application must have the necessary library. The binaries are separated from the rest of the system and cannot infringe any other application. So this is the basic difference between application on host and containers. So in container we create image, we deploy that image over the nodes which are running in a cluster, and that container runs, and it fulfills the purpose. While deploying directly on host, so it should have all the libraries on that particular host, and that's how it works. While if you have created image, it can deploy it over any of the host. You don't have to install all the dependencies on that particular host. So this way it works. Sixth, what are the main components of Kubernetes architecture? So main components are master node and the worker node, and each of them component has individual components in them. So basic one is the master node and worker node. Apart from them, there are multiple components, deployment, ingress, networking, HPA, and so many objects, stateless, stateful jobs, and all those. Let's move to the next seventh. Explain the working of the master node in Kubernetes. So I have already highlighted the major part. So master node controls and manages the set of worker nodes. So master node has the functionality to control and manage the worker nodes. Like in your cluster, there are 7 nodes or 8 nodes, whatever. So master node has the functionality or responsibility to manage all these nodes. While this kind resembles a cluster in Kubernetes. The nodes are responsible for the cluster management and API used to configure and manage the resource within the collection. The master node of Kubernetes can run with Kubernetes itself the asset of dedicated pods. While worker node needs to work on worker nodes, our application used to run like all the microservice deployment to whatever you're deploying. So all the pods which will be created, so all the pods will be deployed over the worker nodes. It will be scheduled by a scheduler, which is the component of Kubernetes architecture. So this is how it works. One master node and multiple worker nodes need managed. What is the role of Kube API server? So this kind validates and provides configuration data for the API. It includes pods, service, replication controller. Also, it provides REST operations and also for the front end of the cluster. So with the kube commands, you can do any kind of changes, any kind of deployment from the your command prompt or from any of you connect your host that you launch a EC2 machine, you connect that EC2 machine with the cluster, and from there you can run any of the kubectl commands, and that will change do the configuration modification, any kind of changes in your cluster related objects. Like if you have to do any kind of deployments, you can do through the kubectl commands. If you have to do any kind of modification in your already existing deployment file, so you can do those type of modifications as well. So it includes pod services, replication controllers. Like if you have three number of replicas running at one time, and you want to increase the number of replicas manually, so you can run the kubectl commands, and you can change the file, and it will increase the number of pods running. So you can use this kube API server. It's a kind of API which will give you access to cluster through the commands. So this is how it works. What process runs on Kubernetes master node? The Kube API server process runs on the master node, and this serves to scale the deployment of more instances. So this is how it works. Last question: what is a pod in Kubernetes? Pods are high-level structures. Pods are high-level structure that wrap one or more containers. So in a particular pod, one container or multiple containers can be deployed. This is because containers are not run directly in Kubernetes. Containers in the same pod share a local network and the same resources, allowing them to easily communicate with other containers in the same pod. So you can read this. What is the job of the queue scheduler? So queue scheduler assigns nodes to newly created pods. So four pods has been created, and there are four nodes or five nodes. So just suppose that one node have only that enough resources which can schedule only one pod, and there are five pods. So the fifth pod which will come up will get assigned to fifth node, because that is only left. Or based on the resources, how much CPU, how much memory is left on that particular node, one pod can be scheduled. So queue scheduler has a job of scheduling the pod over the node. So that's it.